First Chris Rock, then Dave Chappelle, now Salman Rushdie. Apparently, if you've ever hurt anyone's feelings over anything, 2022 is not a good year to step on stage. Salman Rushdie was born in India to a liberal Muslim family, but he was eventually given an Islamic death sentence for doing, back in 1988, what I do every single day. He made fun of the most obvious false prophet in history. Muslim leaders declared that Rushdie's book, The Satanic Verses, was blasphemous against Islam, and in 1989, the Ayatollah Khomeini issued a fatwa calling for his assassination. 33 years later, a misunderstander of Islam named Hadi Matar charged a stage in New York where Rushdie was about to start speaking and stabbed the 75-year-old author numerous times. Rushdie was airlifted to a hospital for emergency surgery. Muslims on Twitter were quick to condemn the attack and defend freedom of speech. The entire Muslim Ummah is standing with this Ghazi. Ghazi is a jihadi. Attacker is our hero. Salute. This man who kills Salman Rushdie is a hero of Islamic Ummah. We love you. If you insult our religion or our prophet, peace be upon him, you will be killed like a dog. But alas, the dog is better than you. If anyone else insults the glory of my prophet Muhammad like Salman Rushdie, then he too will be beheaded. When the international authorities failed to stop the Islamophobia and hate speech towards Prophet Muhammad, then the people have no other option except to take action by themselves. The Ghazi who attacked on cursed Salman Rushdie. If world want peace, respect our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Otherwise, believe me, we are not going to give you any respect, and of course, any kind of goodness too. And yeah, I don't even care about that Salman Rushdie. We can attack such people many times. Believe me, we will. The young lion who sent the cursed Salman Rushdie to hell, even the life is sacrificed for the sanctity of the Prophet. Who put together this list of tweets?
You did?
Well, don't let me forget to edit this part out. I'm not trying to get stabbed by all these morons celebrating on Twitter and Facebook. Ironically, Salman Rushdie was on stage for a discussion about the United States as a safe haven for exiled writers and other artists who are under the threat of persecution. So he was going to talk about the United States as a safe haven for persecuted writers. But his talk was cut short by a misunderstander of Islam stabbing him in the neck. In the United States, a safe haven for persecuted writers. If writers aren't safe in the United States of America, where will they be safe? Elon Musk, if you're watching this, I know some writers and comedians who want a one-way ticket to Mars. It's the only place they can feel safe. So, why did Salman Rushdie's book upset so many Muslims? Several reasons. Again, Rushdie comes from a liberal Muslim family, so he's always had an apostate vibe. After the Ayatollah issued a fatwa against him, Rushdie even claimed that he had returned to Islam. But he's an atheist, so he has a double apostate vibe. Then, of course, there's the blasphemous nature of his book, The Satanic Verses. The book contains a not very flattering dream sequence about Muhammad. It suggests that one of Muhammad's companions made changes to the Quran. The prostitutes in a brothel were named after Muhammad's wives. Quite offensive to Muslims. But the biggest problem with the book is that it includes a fictionalized version of one of the most embarrassing stories from the life of Muhammad. Muslim leaders don't want people to ever be reminded of the story of the Satanic Verses. Not the book, The Satanic Verses, the verses that Muhammad received from Satan, according to Islam's earliest sources. Here's what happened, according to Islam's earliest sources. When Muhammad was preaching in Mecca, he didn't win very many converts, but he wanted his tribe to accept Islam, and he was hoping to receive a revelation that would help them. Then one day, he got the revelation he was looking for. It said, Have you not heard of Allat and Al-Ussa and Manat, the third, the other? These are the exalted cranes whose intercession is to be hoped for. This is what Surah 53 originally said. It said that in addition to Allah, there are three goddesses that Muslims can pray to: Allat, Al-Ussa, and Manat. Allat, Al-Ussa, and Manat were some sort of pagan bird goddesses who could intercede for Muslims by carrying prayers to Allah. Muhammad delivered these verses to his followers. He bowed down in honor of them, and his followers bowed down with him. But a little later, Muhammad came back and said that these verses, which he had delivered as part of the Quran, weren't really from God, they were from Satan. And he replaced them with the words we find in the Quran today. So, when you read Surah 53 of the Quran, keep in mind that it originally promoted polytheism and that Muhammad couldn't tell the difference between a revelation from God and a revelation from Satan. This was massively embarrassing to the early Muslim community. Eventually, Muslims started pretending that it never happened and even editing their sources to cover up the story. And then Salman Rushdie wrote a book reminding everyone about it. That's the main reason the book is so offensive to Muslims. But it's not the main reason for the death sentence against Salman Rushdie. The main reason for the fatwa calling for Rushdie's assassination is that Muslim leaders are convinced that terror is the way to protect their prophet from criticism. They think that when they start killing people who make fun of their prophet, it will send a clear message to politicians and journalists and educators and entertainers. They think that politicians and journalists and educators and entertainers are cowards who, when threatened with violence, will back down. They think that violence is a way to control speech. Why do they think that? Because it works with politicians and journalists and educators and entertainers. What do they always say after these attacks?
While this attack is certainly a tragedy, the bigger tragedy is thinking that it has anything to do with Islam. So let's never forget that Islam is a religion of peace, tolerance, and candy-coated raindrops. And now let's get a spokesman for the Council on American Islamic Relations to give everyone a presentation on how to convert to Islam.
Our leaders are people who will literally let gangs of grown men groom, drug, rape, gang rape, and pimp thousands of young girls for years just to avoid being called Islamophobes. What do you think they'll do to avoid being slaughtered in the name of Allah? Terror works with a lot of people, but it doesn't work with everyone. It doesn't work with me, and I hope it doesn't work with you. If there are enough spines left in the world, we can stop this violence. And it's simple. Jihadis will stop slaughtering people over books and cartoons when the results of slaughtering people over books and cartoons become traumatic. The results become traumatic when, instead of violence silencing critics, violence instead leads to an avalanche, a tsunami of insults and mockery against that illiterate 7th century Arabian caravan robber our leaders are so scared to offend. I'm willing to do my part until they saw off my head. Maybe when I'm 75, like Salman Rushdie. Now, for old time's sake.
It just backfired on me. It just backfired on me. This is a part of a religion. There's a reason to it. Yeah?